What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to a brand new rebuild. Today it is going to be rebuilding Portsmouth from Sky Bet League 1 all the way to Premier League winners. It's going to be a longer video as to be expected. It is a bit of a challenge. If you do enjoy the rebuilds, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We are, of course, going to be using the meta tactic we posted yesterday. And if you do want to get your hands on the up-to-date tactic from today's rebuild, and obviously the rebuild file as well, you can get them in the Patreon below, where you can join the other 4,300 people who get over 13 perks each. Absolutely incredible scenes over there. Be sure to go and check it out. But let's go through and talk a little bit about the challenge we've got at hand today. So this is going to be Portsmouth in Football Manager 2024. Obviously, a team with a lot of history. We know this already. You can see here they've won 2 English Premier Divisions before, 2 FA Cups, a Community Shield, and several other Sky Bet trophies in their roster. An absolute big club, massive club in terms of history. But of course, recent times, it's not really gone their way. Now, in terms of their reputation, 2.5 star, we're going to aim to work on that for sure. 3.5 star training, 2.5 star youth, and 5 silver when it comes to the youth recruitment. Now, it is a team, like I said, in the past, with a lot of history. It has fallen off a little bit, and to go into this first season, as I mentioned, we are going to be using the default meta 4-3-3 V2, and these are going to be the players going into it. We've got some real good talent we're going to look at shortly, but just a little heads up, we do not make any signings, as always, as promised. If you are going to play back home, you would have had £50,000, so not a lot of money to bring in players anyway, to be honest, so we haven't really missed out there. But of course, going over to the squad, the first thing that I am a little bit worried about is we have got a few players in on loan, which is good, but when they go back to their clubs, if we can't afford them, it becomes an absolute nightmare. Now, we have got some young players in this team who have got some good talent. Some of those players are loanies as well. This is a really good player who I would, honestly, if he plays well, like to bring in permanently. But, you know, money-wise, it might be too much. You won't have any interest in joining the championship team if we do get promoted in the first season. So there's a lot of pressure on, obviously, getting promotion in this first season, because otherwise this rebuild might snowball already from season 1. So we have got some good players in this team, obviously some older players as well, which probably aren't going to cut the mustard even in the championship, but I'm confident in the first season we can obviously work our way through, hopefully get promoted via playoffs, or hopefully the ideal situation by winning the league or finishing in second place. We are obviously competing in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy, the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, and of course Sky Bet League 1, and they are predicting a finish of 5th place, which I think is fair enough. It would get us playoffs at the end of the day, but I'm hoping we can finish where Bolton or Derby are predicted, so 2nd or 1st. Let's get into season number 1 with no signings, using a new meta 4-3-3 V2. Be sure to leave a like on the video. Let's get into season 1. This shows how good the tactic is, not the final, but we get all the way to the cup final in the Carabao Cup. Unfortunately, Man City did turn up to this one. They got off to a flyer of a start inside of 2 minutes. Bernardo Silva over the top into Phil Foden to make it 2-0 inside of 7 minutes. It's a very dominant City performance, so they are going to make it 3 with Phil Foden down the left-hand side, back stick into Bernardo Silva, and they do get one more to wrap up a 4-0 first half victory cup final. But we got all the way to the Carabao Cup final in season 1. So get the job done over in Sky Bet League 1, absolutely dominating the league. Not just about winning it, we absolutely battered everyone, only lost 6 games out of 46. Bishop with the most goals, and it is going to be Kamara in 3rd place. We've got 2 players in the top average rating and 2 players joint 2nd in the most assists, also picking up the 3rd best amount of clean sheets. So it was a really strong performance for these lads. The other competitions, the FA Cup knocked out in the 3rd round by Arsenal, and the Bristol Street Motors Trophy didn't go too well at all, getting knocked out in the quarterfinals by Oxford United. But I will say, automatic promotion, dominant division, and getting to a Carabao Cup final, beating some pretty big teams. That is a seriously good season. Of course, going over to the players, we can have a little look right now. 31 goals for Bishop. Is this a player who can do it in the championship? I'm sure going to try and hope so, because I'm going to keep him here. I will see if we can bring in anyone, but to be honest, we're not going to be signing any ridiculous wonder kids at this stage of a rebuild. We're still quite a small club, so we're going to work what we've got, try and keep these players here. There is a bit of a drop-off past that goal scorer that drops down to 13, 11, 10, and 7, so a lot of pressure was done on Bishop. A lot of sort of goals did come through him. The assists were quite evenly spread. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players with 10 plus assists, so that's always nice to see, not relying on purely one assister, although that being we are relying on one top goal scorer. To go into the championship season, we have been given a budget of only £8 million to spend. Now that might go up depending on if we do obviously sell some players, but I think, to be honest, unless, you know, we go a bit further and they decide to put a bit more money in, we've got to be quite reliant on loans. So we'll see what we can do. That's not a lot of money, to be honest, to go into the championship. We're trying to do the McKenna here, win the Sky Bet League 1 and win the championship. Let's see what we can do. So the first signing is going to be a striker, and I know I said I'm going to stick with what I've got, but this guy was available. He's got tons of experience, to be fair to him. It's going to be Aaron Connolly. He's a good Sky Bet Championship player. His attributes look absolutely fantastic. Good finishing, good composure, good off the ball work, quite quick as well. He did set me back quite a lot for this standard of football at £625,000, and he is on £27,000 a week. But I do think this guy is going to be a clear option in terms of a player who can come into the Championship, bag quite a significant amount of goals. I'd like to see at least 30 to replicate what we done last season. It's a big ask, but hopefully he can get the job done. And on the free, you can't really complain. It is going to be Nathan Ferguson, not the most sought after right back in world football, but he is very versatile, going to help a lot considering a lot of games are played in the Championship, as is Sky Bet League One. Right back, centre back and left back are his positions. Favoured at right back for me in this team, 23 years of age, £5 a week. You can't really knock that. Pretty well balanced for this level, and he literally cost me nothing. So you can't complain. The team now looks a little bit like this, so we are going to filter by the best 11, see what changes, see what doesn't. It is automatically going to put in Connolly up front. Then it's going to be Lane, White, Pack, Lowry, Moxon, Sparks, alive, I'm going to say that, Poole, Swanson and Macy in goal. Now this team, I'm not sure how it's going to do. I don't know if it's good enough to win the Sky Bet Championship. Of course, just the 3 competitions this season, the Championship, the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. They are going to be predicted as to finish pretty much rock bottom in 23rd place. Now, I want to do a McKenna and obviously do what he done, but I don't know if it's realistic with this team. There's a lot of players in here who are probably Sky Bet League 1 level. Connolly, I think, is the odd difference from that. He can get goals in the Championship. So let's see what we can do. I'm personally going to leave the tactic as it is for the moment. I'm still going to rock the much higher defensive line, but let's just see what we can do, because it's going to be quite a bit of pressure on Connolly to come in and literally carry us to the Premier League. Do you know what? Some players thrive under that pressure, as we're not going to win it, but we are going to get automatic promotion, which I'm going to take any day of the week. And it was quite comfortable over 3rd place and obviously down into 6th. Bournemouth just 6 points ahead. Connolly comes in and scores 41 goals, nearly double of the 2nd top goal scorer in the league. That is a serious signing from me. We've got 2 players in the highest average rating. We picked up the most clean sheets, and we've also got the top assister. We really need to keep the right players, and we brought in the perfect striker to get the job done. Now, the rest of the competitions wasn't too pretty, but to be honest, I really was not focused on this at all. The main aim was to try and get playoffs in the Championship, and we have come out and got out of the Championship and Sky Bet League 1 in 2 seasons. We have done the McKenna. We are now into the Premier League. Not the greatest display, as I said, in the FA Cup and Carabao Cup, but as we can see, based off stats, Connolly comes in with 42 goals and 5 assists, 15 for Paddy Lane, 12 for White, Lowry comes in with 9, 8 for Pack, Scully with 7, 5 for Callum Lang, and usually, you know me, I'll be complaining about not enough goal scorers, but I'm just happy we've got over the line and got the job done in such an early part of this rebuild. Assists, again, are going to be quite well balanced, although a big standout here is going to be Gavin White coming in, putting on an absolute masterclass with 19 assists. You can't really complain about that. And it is going to be Tom Lowry with 13, 9 for Paddy Lane, and it is going to be Pat coming in also with 9. So a really good display from the team, one I'm really happy to see. And now we are obviously in, well, we're now in the Premier League, which it seems quite crazy. We're currently only 9 minutes recording, and I've mentioned Premier League. I don't think anyone would have thought that. We are going to have a total of £49 million to spend going into this window. I'll show you the debts and loans as well. It's not looking too bad, so we can obviously spend a lot of this money. And looking at this team, obviously you can look at this right now. There's a lot of players, realistically, if we filter by the best 11 right now, there's a lot of players who aren't going to be Premier League quality. So, you know, looking at the squad here as well, it's the same story. We've got potential, but judging by the potential ability or the current ability, Connolly is the exception. Apparently a decent Premier League player. I will give him a chance in the Premier League, see what he can do. But other than that, we are going to need to strengthen. So we're going to need some players. Let's get into season number 3 of the transfers. And the first player is going to be a goalkeeper. We needed one definitely coming in, and I'm going to pick up this 25-year-old Croatian. It says he's a good Sky Bet League 1 player, but his attributes actually look quite good. And I think he is going to be decent in the Premier League. Not the best of the best, but he can get the job done. He's on £47,000 a week, and he cost me a fair bit, to be fair, in £10 million. But I figured on this game, what I've learnt so far, you spend quite a bit of money when it comes to bringing in goalkeepers who actually can save. This is an absolute steal, and I mean a steal because he literally cost me £0. It is going to be Liam Morrison, coming in from Birmingham, previously of Bayern Munich, Celtic, some really big teams in there. He's not the most outrageously good-looking centre-back in terms of attributes, but he's decent. He's 22 years of age. Again, it says a good Sky Bet League 1 player, potential of a potentially good Premier League player. So I figured for only £3.5 a week, just over that, and the fact I don't spend a penny on him, there's no harm in bringing him into the team. I'm then going to go over to Burnley and sign Noah Masango, and this is a player who already is a decent Premier Division player, a very versatile midfield player, very well-rounded, some attributes in the yellow already at the age of 24. Again, he probably is at his peak, to be honest. He's sort of mid-20s, so that is what you could expect from him, but he's good enough for us. By far going to get into the team quite easily, actually. £32,500 a week, and he set me back 6.5 million. At this point of a rebuild, though, going into the Premier League, it's all about getting loads of good players. You're not going to go out and sign a world-class wonder kid. They're not going to want to join. You can't afford them. So these players are actually quite the perfect option. Player I'm surprised we could get, because despite him not being the best left back in the world, for Portsmouth, a newly Premier League team, you take him any day. That is going to be Junior Firpo, coming in from Cadiz, previously of Leeds and Barcelona. He's absolutely rapid. He can put a ball in. He's got good tackling. He's a very well-rounded left back. He is 28, so a bit on the older side, and therefore he is going to want more money because of the experience he has. £72,000 a week, and he sent me back 5.5 million, which I don't think is too bad considering where he's played. And lastly, we are going to bring in Dango on loan from Bournemouth. He's a player who I think can just help us get over the line, can play on the right and on the left and up front if needed as well. A lovely little picture there as well. We love the cutout face back. A really strong player, 23 years of age, £13,500 a week. And as you can see, loan option there, setting us back a total of 1.4 million. If he performs, of course, we are going to bring him in. But that is going to be the signings done. No outgoings as of yet, because I want to keep the squad quite big. And the team is now going to look a little bit like this. So let's go over, filtered by the best 11. You are going to be seeing Panda in goal, Pugh Morrison. I'm gonna butcher that guy's name. I'm gonna call him Stewart because I'm gonna butcher his name. Firpo, Moxon, Masango, Lowry. We've got Atara, Lane, and Connolly up front. And the bench now obviously has got some familiar faces on who we have signed. So we've got some players we can turn to on the bench. Obviously, this is the first season in the Premier League, so we've got to be quite sensible what we're going to be doing. I am going to be changing the tactic. Obviously, I'm not going in to the Premier League with a much higher defensive line because we will get absolutely butchered. So I am going to be changing that. We are playing in the Premier Division, the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. Bit of a waste of time because I know what they're going to say, but we are predicted to finish literally rock bottom with 1,000 to 1 odds to win the Premier League. As long as we avoid relegation, I will be happy. So let's get in to season number 3. What a rebuild it has been so far. Already back into the Premier League. And as you can see, the reputation is on the up as well. So give me some more transfer budget. Let's get into season 3. So we actually adapted to Premier League life quite nicely. As you can see here, it's going to be a 4-1 win over Manchester United. Over Manchester United, we come out in the first season in the Premier League. Connolly stepping up to the mark, making it look easy. Pack steps up for a great penalty into the bottom left-hand corner. And we were not fazed by this United team, or even though they did get a goal here, as you can see, quite a good goal as well from JoshDaly, to be fair. Just drives into the back line, puts it into the top right corner. But to be in your first season and scoring 4 goals against a team like Manchester United, you can't really complain about. Some good play here as well. Good passing down on the right-hand side, back into the middle. A first time, I believe, Rabana finish past Onana, and still time for one more goal coming in the 83rd minute. Good build-up play through the midfield, good passing over the top into Bishop. Onana's in no man's land, and it's an easy goal. And really, if you look at the stats, which I'm going to show you right now, we didn't really deserve to not have that. I mean, we had the same amount of chances, the same amount of stats, but anyone could have really won this game. But do you know what? Sometimes the luck goes in your favour. I'm not going to complain. But as an overall season, you can see here, we definitely did have our struggles. We had a good stint here in terms of games, a really bad stint here. But as you can see in this top left corner, we got the job done. In the Premier Division, we are going to finish in 13th place. The FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, not as pretty, but again, you cannot be focused on the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup in your first season in the Premier League. You cannot care about them because it will genuinely cost you so much. But 13th place is quite above the relegation zone. Quite a fair gap between 13th and 18th. The teams going down. Brighton, Wolves and Leeds all going down. So you know what I'm going to be doing? Poaching their players to hopefully get to play for us next season. Now, we've got no players in the top goal scoring because I don't think we exactly put on a dominant performance. And I would imagine if we go to the tactics page, our top goal scorer is literally going to be with 17 goals. And that is going to be Connolly. And do you know what? For his first season in the Premier League, I am not going to complain. That's actually quite good. Is he going to be good enough to win us a Premier League? Of course he's not, but he's done his job, he's got us promoted, and he's put up quite a good display in the first Prem season. Other than that, there's nothing really too much to talk about, so I'm not going to waste your time there. It's a very average sort of statistic season, but it's not average in the sense of staying up. And we have been given a total budget of £56 million to take into the fourth transfer window, so I think what I'm going to do is, realistically, we need to strengthen every position on the pitch. So I'm going to look at it a bit more in depth, obviously off camera, take probably a couple hours to actually go over the whole team, look what needs to happen, and go back when I've got some new players. Hopefully 5 or 6. I'm going to be honest, I want half a new team. Look familiar? It should do it. It's going to be Dango. We are going to make him permanent. He didn't exactly set the Premier League alight, but if we look at his attributes here, or his stats here, sorry, he actually done as well as anyone else in the team. He looks quite a promising winger as well. He's got a bit about him, so I thought, do you know what? For a total price tag of, what is that, like £1.4 million in total, you can't really complain. We may as well get him in. If you're an Ipswich fan, you definitely know who this guy is. It's going to be Jeremy Saramento, coming in from Brighton on this occasion. He didn't decide to stay at Ipswich permanently on this save. He goes to Brighton, they get relegated, some would say karma. He's now back into the Premier League thanks to us, a Portsmouth player. This guy can honestly become one of the best players in the game. I genuinely believe that he's absolutely incredible on the left and on the right. Really good dribbling, decent finishing, quite quick on the ball as well. He's on £48,500 a week, and he sent me back a total of £13.5 million. So I'm starting to become not as nervous about spending the big money. I say big money, it's big money for Portsmouth. You are going to need to now make these signings to progress the team. At the end of the day, the one thing I don't want to happen is to have a finish where we did last season in 13th place, then go down to 18th place, go back down. We need to keep building, and unfortunately in football, money does that. But in terms of Fulham, obviously a player with previous Premier League experience, it is going to be Rodrigo Muniz coming in, the 25-year-old Brazilian, very similar to Connolly in some aspects, but just having two versions of Connolly, similar players, similar attributes. I think it's going to be a bit better than what we had in the past. A good backup option striker on £16,500 a week, and he sent me back literally 300,000. So not a lot of money to spend, and he hopefully will at least chip in with sort of 5-6 goals. Lastly, a luxury signing, if you want to say that, it's going to be Asta, coming in from Wolves, a player who I like to pick up when I can, incredibly versatile in midfield. You know I love players who can play a little bit of everywhere. He's 23 years of age on £38,000 a week. As I said, he can play in so many positions. It's going to help us out big time, because we can't afford to go out and pick up loads and loads of players. We have to get these players who are willing to do a little bit of everything, and this is definitely one of those players. He is going to set me back a tidy £17.5 million, but I honestly think it's worth it. He's a big addition. Welcome in. Also going to turn to Liverpool and pick up Calvin Ramsey, a very solid right back, really quick, good tackling, good technique, not bad crossing as well. He is 22 years of age, so we can work with him as well to maybe up that tackling so it's actually good instead of decent. He's on £64,000 a week, and he sent me back 8.7 million. Go to the other left back spot, or the other wing back spot in a left back. That is going to be Luke Thomas, coming in from Wolves, Leicester, and of course previously in Middlesbrough and Sheffield. A load of time over in England, really good for registration as well. Very similar to the player I just showed, a little bit slower but better at tackling, a decent work rate. He's 25 years of age, an experienced player, £40,000 a week, and he sent me back only 6.7 million. Lastly, we needed a centre back, but do you know how hard it was to get anyone? Even Rob Holding turned us down. We've turned to Mason Holgate. Now, it is a gamble. This guy's very hot or cold in real life. Don't really rate him in real life, but do you know what? Tough times, tough measures. You got to do what you got to do. He actually looks quite good in the game, quite quick, good fitness, decent tackling. He doesn't look too bad. He is 29 on £42,500 a week, and he cost me 7 million, but he's got Premier League experience. So I mean, it's the one positive going for him, I guess. But the team is now going to look a little bit like this, and we have filled with it by the best 11, as you are going to see. Panda, Ramsey, Holgate, Morrison, Firpo, Moxon, Masango, and we are of course going to have, I always butcher his last name, Asta, obviously in midfield, with Saramento, White and Connolly up front. Of course, on the bench striker-wise, we are now going to have the likes of Muniz on there. On the wings, we've obviously got Callum Lang and Paddy Lane on there, and the man we got from Bournemouth on the permanent. We've got a decent team in terms of depth and rotation, but realistically, we still are very far off building a Premier League team. And if you look at this right now, ability-wise, it might look quite good, but if you look at the actual players, they're not really going to win you a Premier League title. It's the harsh truth. It's how it is, you know. We've got to be fair, but I am honestly looking forward to using this guy. I think he can offer a lot to the team. Very exciting player indeed. There's a lot of players in here who can offer a lot this season. Asta's another one. I hope he can. We are playing now in 3 competitions again. The FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, which I will say, before we get into it, I really don't care about. I am fully focused on progressing in the Premier Division, where they are predicting a finish of relegation again. Let's get into the next season. We've got to prove that wrong. We've just about improved by 2 spaces. We finish in 11th place. Rodrigo Muniz comes in as the second top goal scorer in the Premier League. So that is a massive signing. Unfortunately, I don't know if my webcam's blocking it, but Ramsey picks up the most yellow cards, which is never a pretty sight. But Rodrigo comes in and only scores 5 less than Erling Haaland. So you can't really knock that. In terms of the other competitions, again, it's a little bit better. Not in the FA Cup, knocked out in the 5th round, but the Carabao Cup, knocked out in the semi-final against Tottenham. Did we get battered? Not really. 1 goal in aggregate over both legs. Not really too bad. Rodrigo, top goal scorer again. I've got a feeling he actually done really well. Let's have a little look. He actually picked up a total of 26 goals. I mean, that is a really good season. Sarmentino comes in. I'm going to butcher that. Am I saying that? Sarmentino. Let me know in the comments. I do not like to butcher names, but I always do it. 12 from him, 8 coming in for Aster. We've got 6 from Gavin White. We've got Masango with 6 as well, who had an okay season. Nothing too special, but he kind of got the job done. But he is from midfield, so we can't be too critical on that either. Assist-wise, we are going to have 13, 9, 8, 7, 6, 6, 5-5. Again, nothing too pretty on the eye. The only real player that has taken me by storm so far is going to be this guy. Rodrigo Muniz has come in and put on an absolute masterclass. I mean, this guy could be potentially a player who we stick with up front. He's scored quite a fair few goals. It would be quite harsh to turn him down to the bench next season, but who knows? We're going to have to see who's available on the market, because of course we are going to try to keep on progressing, progress. Now, finance-wise, we have been given quite a fair bit of wonga. £75 million to be exact. That is a lot of money to spend to go into the next season. But again, a very similar story, bar maybe the left winger and the striker. We need to improve every position. Now, what I like to do to check this out is to see obviously what we were good at, what we were bad at, and concede them. We weren't as good as what we were at scoring, so I am going to more likely be putting money into the back line, maybe get a better keeper, because I feel like our keeper maybe have peaked a little bit too sort of early. He had done okay in the first Premier League season. He's not really going to go anywhere from this point onwards, so I might go into it, see if we can pick up a goalkeeper. We've got enough money to pick up a few players. Let's get in to the next transfer window. By far the biggest and probably will forever be the most expensive signing in this rebuild, potentially, unless we go above this. Teles Magno comes in. I had to go to the board. That is how much we spent on this player. We actually spent a total of 42 million, some in installments, some up front, but you need to take gambles at this point of the rebuild to bring in players who are probably a little bit too good for the club, to be honest, in terms of their stature as a player, and this is one of them. He's on 76 grand a week, but he looks phenomenal. Can play on the left and on the right, can play through the middle and up front. He covers 4 positions. He looks incredible, and I honestly think this could be a player you can throw in to a Premier League winning team. So let's just see what he can do. Hopefully it doesn't come back to bite me. Player to sought after in real life quite a fair bit at the moment is going to be Rav van der Berg, coming in from Sunderland, a player who is 22 years of age, a good Premier League quality defender, which is something we might have been lacking a little bit. Him and Holgate should now make that best 11, I do think. He's quite quick, very good at tackling, good positioning, on 105 grand a week. Again, a lot of teams wanted this player, which is why we had to spend £16 million to get him. But considering Sunderland paid 22 million, they've made a little bit of a loss, and I think potentially we got a bit of a bargain. Then fix up the goalkeeper issue and pick up Ernest, coming in from Frankfurt, a goalkeeper who is classed as a decent Premier Division goalkeeper, incredibly well-rounded for a keeper who is very young. 24 years of age for a goalkeeper, we know, with anyone with football knowledge, is very young for a goalkeeper. £95,000 a week, and he sent me back 17.2 million. But again, a lot less than what Frankfurt paid from Schalke, so I'm hoping he can find himself in the Premier League. It's a big step up. Hopefully he can do it. Looking at his stats alone, I'm confident he can. He's a player who I know gets a lot of stick. Madueke is a player I still think can be recovered, and don't worry, I have not gone out and spent big on him. I have not gone crazy. We have simply loaned him in, as you can see here, on a simple loan deal. There is no option to buy. If he's good, obviously I'll try and buy him. But he looks still quite good. He's quick on the ball. He's got good dribbling. His finishing's actually quite good. 13 finishing, 15 composure. He's just not getting a single look in his Chelsea team. Hopefully, we can fix that. And lastly, we are going to bring in Tim from Leeds, previously of Villa and, of course, Coventry. He is literally going to be a player on the free, and he is valued a total of 25 to 28 million. He looks very well-rounded in midfield. Again, versatility. You know how much I love these sorts of players in the team. On £46,000 a week, and hopefully, he can just add that little bit of something we didn't have before. Now, filtered by the best 11, the team is going to look quite a fair bit different We're going to have Ernest, Ramsey, Van der Berg, we've got Holgate, we've got Luke Thomas, we've got Masango, we are going to have Asta. I always forget names of players. We've got Tim, we've got Magno, we've got Saramentino, and we've got Muniz up front. Now, slowly, and I do mean very slowly, we are building a very strong team. I mean, on the bench now, we've got a decent backup keeper. We've got Furpo, we've got Madueke, we've got Connolly, we've got Morrison. We've got some good players on this bench. We still need a couple of seasons, I think, to really try and win the Premier League, but we are slowly getting rid of the sort of Sky Bet League One Championship standard players and bringing in players who can actually play in the Premier League. This front three can cause issues. This midfield is very good, and the back line also is actually quite strong as well. So I am fully confident we can sort of cause some issues here. We are actually going to be playing in the same competitions again, the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup. I will be incredibly surprised if they are going to predict another relegation. They are. That seems very, very harsh, but who cares? We're going to try and prove them wrong. Let's get into the next season, see what we can do. Hopefully we can carry on progressing, but eventually that will stop, I think. It's a bit of deja vu as we are going to beat Manchester United again in 4-1 fashion, and the goal quality was really, really strong here. As you can see, a great start. This bit we'll ignore. It was just a bit of a scrappy set piece, but we bounced back with a set piece of our own, and it's going to be Magno leaping from a great ball from Ramsey. We really took the game to United here, and when you're making runs like this against one of the better teams in the Premier League, you can't really complain. And to finish it off, a direct set piece gets the job done. We actually got Champions League football. Champions League football with Portsmouth, a sentence I did not think I'd be saying for at least about 9 seasons. We are in the Champions League. It might be a bit of a gift and a curse because there's a lot of pressure on the players. It wasn't really a strong season from anybody in the Premier League. I mean, we had 10 draws in a 38-game run-in, and we clenched it literally by a point. So very, very close. Obviously, a few teams in this top 4 race, but we got the job done technically. Not pretty, but we got the job done. Competition-wise, again, not the best display in the FA Cup. The Carabao Cup, again, semi-final appearance against Liverpool. Did we get battered? Please no, not really. 1 goal again, but this is such a strong season. Champions League football. Now, the key question is, did the big man, the expensive man, get off to a good start? Magno, top goal scorer. That is why you spend the big bucks. Time and time again, I question myself spending money on these players, but they always prove me wrong. 23 goals, 14 for Saramentino. We've got 13 for Madueke, who I think I'm going to try and buy because he had quite a good season. We've got 13 for Muniz. We're going to have Tim coming in there with 11. We're going to have Asta with 9. It's looking a little bit better now. Some of these players really contributing. I really want Madueke, so we'll see what we can do with him. Assist-wise, again, we've got a lot of players contributing. Not as many in the 10s, but we've got a few higher players here with sort of like your 7s, your 8s, your 9s. But this player here, Madueke, I really want him in the team. I don't know what it is. I'm going to try. Actually, he is joining permanently, so that must be a sort of decision made by the board. How much are they paying? Can we even see how much we're paying for him? That will be quite interesting. 6.5 million. There you go. So that's not too bad, I don't think, for a player like him. He's actually looking quite good. We are going to have a budget of £57 million to spend going into the 6th transfer window. So it is quite a fair bit of money to play with as well. Again, we just want to build on what we've done, but that is quite hard to do when we've finished in 3rd place. Up from that is 2nd place, and then it's winning the Premier League. Are we going to get that done next season? Probably not. So let's take our £50 million, minus the 6 million for, of course, Madueke. Let's see what we can do. So first up, and I've used installments as my best friend now. We've only paid 15 million up front. The rest is on the installment tab. It's going to be Chris Rigg, a good Premier Division player. And just look at him. His attributes are absolutely fantastic. 21 years of age on £69,000 a week. He sent me back £57 million from Sunderland. But again, he can play so many positions. Very versatile, very young, very good for registration as well. We have been hit with the English tax. That's all I can say. Player I like to sign in my weakest sort of team rebuilds, that is going to be Kevin Shade, coming in from Brentford. A player, of course, with quite a bit of Premier League experience from this game, 125 games to be exact, a decent Premier Division player and a good backup option for the wing, or what I think might happen if the game makes this decision for me. I think they might actually put him up front because he's actually quite good at striker. He's very quick, decent finishing, composure we can work with him on. He is 26 though, so he's not going to suddenly go from here all the way to up here, but he can improve a little bit. He's on £81,000 a week and he sent me back £32.5 million. We went out and we tried to poach a really good centre-back for the Premier League, and the best I could come up with is Maximine Esteve. I believe that's how you say that. I Apologies if that is wrong. Coming from Bournemouth, again, quite a fair few games played for them. He looks really, really solid. Well-rounded, 26 years of age, £73,000 a week, and he sent me back £35 million. I do think I potentially overpaid a little bit for a player like this, but the centre-back options that would improve the team were very limited on the market. And lastly, a bit of a bargain signing. If you're a United fan, you're going to love it. It's going to be Hannibal. Coming in from Zenit, he sent me back only £7.7 million. He's going to be on £100,000 a week, very similar to the first player I show in Chris Rigg. Not as good as Chris Rigg, but again, very versatile, can play in so many positions to quite a high level, reasonably quick, good aggression, good work rate, good stamina, probably best in sort of central midfield area, definitely not on the wings in my opinion, but again, perfectionist personality. I really think he can come in and just add a little bit of rotation to the team. The team now looks, funny enough, a little bit like this, so let's go and make sure it is definitely right. By the best 11, it is going to be Ernest, Ramsey, Van der Berg, we've got Estevie, we've got Firpo, we are going to have Aster, but if you say that, I always butcher that. Rigg, we are going to have Tim, Telles Magno, Sarmentino, and Shade up front. And now the bench has got a lot of good players on. We've got Pandora on the bench, we've got Holgate, we've got Madueke, we've got Connolly, we've got Thomas, we've got Hannibal, we've got Muniz, we've got Masango. We've got a lot of good players now. Compare this to the team at the start, we've done a lot inside of, well, this is now going to be coming up to the 6th season. So I honestly am predicting an 8-season sort of spell to try and win the Premier League, but let's just see what we can do. We are going to be competing in the Premier League, the Champions League. I don't even want to know how that goes. The FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. They are predicting a finish of 17th place. Now, I think that's actually quite generous because we're playing in the Champions League, although to be fair, we don't want to get far in the Champions League. Let's just be honest, because we are Portsmouth. We've definitely got the players for that. So let's get into the Premier League, see what we can do. I'm hoping we can at least maintain the top 6. European football would be really nice. We're not going to finish in the top 4 again because I think that was a bit of a miracle season. I've got to show you this game in the Champions League phase because it's the first time we have come out and beat a full-strength Manchester City team in 3-0 fashion. An incredible performance in the Champions League of all competitions. Really good play there from Shade, back into Ramsey, into the middle, into the star man on the left-hand side. Man City did not respond at all, and the last goal comes in from Magno down the left-hand side, back in Sarmentino, into Rigg, loads of space for Shade, a 3-0 win. And that Champions League, I was fearing I probably shouldn't have done, as we actually get to the quarterfinals with Portsmouth in our first attempt. That's a really strong start. Fortunately, the FA Cup is going to be a 5th round exit against Newcastle in 2-0 fashion. The Carabao Cup, the same story continues. We've not had a lot of luck in the English Cups at all so far, as we are going to lose 4-3 against Arsenal. And to finish it off, we win the Premier League. Now, I don't know how we have done this, I do, with 1 on goal difference, but we put together all the right players at the right time, and we've hit at a time where we literally win, draw, and lose, obviously the same amount of games as Newcastle. We win by 10 goal difference, so it's a fair enough goal difference, but we have come out and put on an absolute display. Man City had one of their very rare off seasons. Arsenal, Liverpool, and United and Villa make up the rest of the 7. Shade, and it is going to be Magno, finish 2nd and 3rd in a top goal scorer. Ernest picks up the most clean sheets. Ramsey and Rigg, first most assists joint with Starboy Bukayo Saka. We have really come out and put on a great display here. So whatever happened here, I do not care about, because what we have done is we can go to it and now see that 2 has changed to a 3. That is going to be the challenge completed. Of course, going over to the goal scorers, we are going to be looking at 30 goals for Shade, and this is the reason we have won it now, because for the first time since we have started, we have got players who are contributing with 20 plus goals, more than 1. We've got 30, 26, 22, 18, 10, 9, 9. That in itself is really, really good. Assists, we've got 23 for Chris Rigg. He potentially could be the talisman to this team now. 19 for Ramsey, Hannibal with 16, a great entry season, Magno with 15, 13 for obviously the star boy from Ipswich Town, or technically Brighton, and 10 from Kevin Shade. That is going to be a very, very good way to finish this. I mean, ridiculous way to finish this. What a team we have built as well. And of course, if you want to get this tactic and the rebuild file to carry it on, you can do so in the Patreon, and also enter the new giveaway we posted up yesterday. Get all my other tactics, get them early, get priority in the rebuild and the tactic requests, and a lot more. And if you are going to carry it on, you are going to have a budget of £98 million to somehow improve this team, which I'm sure you can find a way. If you have enjoyed today's rebuild, it's a bit of a longer one. If you like these longer rebuilds, a bit more of a challenge, comment right now below 2 teams you want to see get a rebuild, and I'll see you in the next one.